Good evening, everybody. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Byju's live webinar. Today, we will be talking about mains answer writing based on current affairs. The topics that we will be covering will include internal security, disaster management, and 2 questions from ethics. So, before we head on with our topics, very quickly on a few basic things, Byju's exam prep platform, you need to, if you log into it, you can put your mobile number there. Type in your mobile number here, and after you log into it, you can access the excuse me, you can access the IAS course from the choose your stream, and then in your home section you can find the concerned matter, relevant material, whatever you require. You'll be able to find it there. My classroom, where you can access the study material, the unit test, the webinar. Excuse me. All right. So without any delay, the topics that we'll be discussing today will include my facial recognition and criminal identification amendment bill, cognitive dissonance, dam management, zombie eyes, flash floods, NAFIS, and code for the day. So, facial recognition and criminal identification amendment bill. The question on your screen: what is the controversy surrounding the usage of facial recognition software by the Delhi police? Analyze the utility of FRT in enhancing internal security in the backdrop of the criminal identification bill. 15 marks, 250 words. So, the very first part of the question, it basically consists of what? It basically asks, what is the controversy surrounding the usage of facial recognition software? So, you should have a basic idea regarding what is the controversy. That is a very specific question. Clear? You need to know what you mean by facial recognition technology in terms of definition, and how FRT can enhance internal security. FRT can enhance internal security in the backdrop of what? In the backdrop of the criminal identification bill. Clear? So these are the elements that we need to focus on. But before we head on with how to write a proper answer to this, let us try to understand what is facial recognition technology. Now, FRT, when we say facial recognition technology, you must understand one thing. Just like our fingerprint, our face is also very unique. No matter how much ever plastic surgery, etc., a person may be able to do, the fact of the matter is the distance between the two eyes, the distance from eyes, the eye socket to the nose, nose to the mouth, mouth to the chin, these are different for everybody. There is, by no stretch of imagination, all these measurements will be the same for two different people. These measurements will always vary, and that is the uniqueness. So what facial recognition technology actually does is it basically measures these nodal points. The nodal points that is present on your face. That is what it does. So it basically measures all of that. Then it can be used for two purposes. One is 1:1 purpose is there, and 1:n is there. What do you mean by 1:1? 1:1 is simply something which we all use on a daily basis. Like, for example, those of your smartphones which has the capability of unlocking the phone using your face. That is 1:1. Where your mobile camera gets activated, it recognizes your face, measures these nodal points, and unlocks the phone. The other one, 1:n, identification, what we are talking about, that is something which is used by the security agencies. Now, what is that? That simply means randomly, let us say, a person X committed a crime. Now, nobody knows what is his name. Nobody knows what is his other details or demographic details. Nothing is available apart from the fact that the person X's face has been caught in a security camera. This footage from the camera is cross-checked with all the photographs that is there with the security agencies, number one. It is also cross-checked with the photographs that is available in the internet, Facebook, Google, in almost all the public platforms. And based on that, they will be able to zero in on the person, where facial recognition technology will be doing the donkey work for the police. It will pull out that photograph if it is available in the internet, and it will identify the person. So you must understand here, security footage for image will be totally different from the photograph which is there on the internet. So that is cross-checked and compared. And FRT will tell to what extent the photos are similar. This is the technology behind it. Clear, people? So definition-wise, it is an algorithm-based technology which creates a digital map of the face by identifying and mapping an individual's facial features, which it then matches against the database to which it has access. So this is the idea here. Somebody has committed a crime, or somebody is caught in committing a crime, or randomly he's a suspect's image is there. It is cross-checked with the countless number of photographs that is available with the cops, either with them in their database or in the internet, and based on that, they zero in on the suspect's details. Clear? This is the simple logic here, how the facial recognition technology works. As you can clearly see, these dots here, whatever you see here, these dots, what you see here, these are what you call nodal points. And as you can clearly see, that is what it is doing there. It is measuring the distance from eye to nose, nose to chin, overall distance to the forehead. All of that is measured, and it varies from individual to individual. No two individuals, even if they are twins, all the nodal points will not have the same measurements. That is the logic behind facial recognition technology. So now let us try to understand. So we understood what is FRT. We understood how it measures these nodal points. We understood that. But the fact of the matter is, what is the controversy now? So the Delhi police first obtained the permission to use facial recognition technology to identify missing children. That is the advantage with FRT. Like I told you, missing children are there. You take their face, you compare it with the database, and that way you can identify the children. Because let us say a child would have, got lost maybe at the age of 12, but the child was retrieved by the age of 15 years. Changes would have happened with the face. Either the child would have put on weight or child would have lost weight. But putting on weight or losing weight will not change the distance between eye to nose, nose to mouth. That aspect was used by Delhi police to identify missing children. And they took permission from where? They obtained permission from Delhi High Court in Southern Haldar versus the National Capital Territory of Delhi. Clear? However, in 2018 itself, Delhi police submitted to the Delhi High Court accuracy of the technology procured by them was only 2%, and it was not good. Accuracy was only 2%. That means you cannot trust FRT completely. Who had said this in the court? Delhi police. So 2018 itself, Delhi police admitted in a court that the accuracy of FRT is not so great. In 2020, it was found out that Delhi police was using FRT for almost all police investigations. This is what is called function creep. Now, what is function creep? Function creep is something where, for those of you who know, it is almost like giving space to a camel. If you go by the old story basically says that camel first asked in the desert that, can I put my head inside? Can I put my tail inside? Can I put my leg inside? Can I put my back leg inside? Bit by bit, finally camel occupied the entire tent, and the original owner of the tent had to sleep outside. The same thing was done by the Delhi police. Delhi police initially went to the court asking permission, can we use FRT to trace and identify missing children? Court granted the permission. But later onwards, this technology was used basically for other criminal investigations without seeking the court's permission. This was widening the scope of a technology than what it was originally intended for. FRT was continued to be used during the 2020 Northeast Delhi riots, the 2021 Red Fort violence, and the 2022 Jahangir Puri riots. So as you can clearly see, without any authorization, they continue to use it. So the uses of FRT presents two issues here. What are the two issues? One is misidentification due to inaccuracy of the technology. The other is mass surveillance due to misuse of the technology. So let us look into both. Accuracy rates already is very low. How much it is? 2%. And it has been found that based on race as well as gender, the accuracy is poor. What does that mean? In USA, again, there is another FRT technology. And it was found out that when it comes to identifying white American culprits or perpetrators of a crime or suspects, FRT technology was doing a fantastic job. But when it came to identifying men of color, women of color, it was doing a very bad job. The FRT technology, more often than not, ended up zeroing in down on people who were actually innocent and had nothing to do with the crime. It has been found to be a perennial problem in the USA, where FRT has been found to be inaccurate, especially while recognizing the faces of Afro-Americans. Amazon's facial recognition technology, Rekognition, incorrectly identified 28 members of the Congress as people who have been arrested for a crime. Of the 28, a disproportionate number were people of color. Understood? That is, 28 members of US Congress were found to be arrested for a crime. But did they actually commit a crime? No. FRT technology wrongfully identified them as some other people who have actually committed the crime. That simply means if you are not fair, if you are having a dark complexion, there is a good amount of chance that facial recognition technology will identify you as somebody else. Getting the point here? That is why you cannot trust it. And Delhi police themselves admitted to it. Failure of the biometric-based authentication under Aadhaar, which has led to many people being excluded from receiving essential government services, which in turn has led to starvation deaths. That is, my face, which is there in Aadhaar, and the face, whatever I am carrying. Now, Aadhaar face and my face should match. But sometimes what has happened is, there also the technology has failed. Now, if you take anybody, if you take your Aadhaar photo, and if you look at your face in the mirror, you will actually wonder who is that person in Aadhaar. Very few of us have our face exactly as it is in Aadhaar. So what has happened there? Again, exclusion is happening. So in the case of facial recognition technology, two biggest problem is, one is wrongful inclusion. That is, just because you are dark, just because you are of a different gender, different color, just because of that, you are wrongly identified as a perpetrator of the crime. Number two, wrongful exclusion. From what? From government schemes. You are wrongfully excluded. Because as per facial recognition technology, you are not the same person as you claim to be in Aadhaar. Clear? The Delhi police have basically said that matches above 80% similarity are treated as positive results, while matches below 80% similarity are treated as false positive results, which require additional corroborative evidence. That simply means, say, a face is there. Okay. The system tries to find out whose face is this. by measuring, as usual, the nodal points. Okay, it is measuring it. If it is more than 80% accuracy, then the cops will consider this person as a suspect. If it is less than 80%, then what they will do, they'll try to look for more corroborative evidence. More corroborative evidence means what? Now, this person, ideally, if it is less than 80%, the accuracy, he is no more a suspect. But what the cops have said, they will look for more corroborative evidence. More corroborative evidence means I will basically put a surveillance on this person, both electronically and physically. Just because the accuracy rate is less than 80% doesn't dispute the fact that he may not be a suspect. So they will continue with their surveillance program on that individual. So don't you think this is a violation of right to privacy? Clear? The Delhi police is matching the photographs or videos against photographs collected under Section 3 and 4 of the Identification of Prisoners Act 1920, which has now been replaced by Criminal Procedure Identification Act of 2022. So basically now, what are they doing? If I have committed a crime, they will cross-check my face with all the faces that they have in the database to identify who I am. The Act allows for wider categories of data to be collected from a wider section of people, that is, convicts and other persons, for the purposes of identification and investigation of criminal matters. Basically, it means what? Basically, it means even if at any one point of time you have been arrested, okay, let us say you have been arrested for something very small, jumping the signal, drunken driving, whatever it is, your data will be collected by the cops and it will be stored in the database. In the eventual future, even if you commit a crime, this data will be used by the cops to zero in on you or to identify you. That is the whole idea. The Criminal Procedure Identification Act 2022 provides legal sanction to law enforcement agencies for taking measurements of convicts and other persons for the purposes of identification and investigation of criminal matters, which means judicial order is not required. Earlier, what we saw? Earlier, we saw that for using FRT to identify as well as to trace down missing children, the Delhi police had actually approached the High Court. But with criminal identification bill, it is no more necessary. Cops can easily use any photograph, any videograph, any evidence. Even if you have posted a photograph with your family and friends during, let us say, Diwali or during New Year, during your birthday party, even that photo can be used to identify you. A few years ago, if you remember, there was this whole challenge, age challenge, where they used to, in Facebook, where they used to say, okay, if this is you now, 60 years down the line, this is how your this is how your face will look. If you're 60 years old, this is how your face will look. If you're 50 years old, this is how your face will look. It was actually an exercise basically asking the youth to upload their photo in the internet. Because once your photo is there in the internet, trust me, anybody has access to it. Getting the idea? Anybody can access it. So in the event, if you do so much as throw a stone at a cop, you take part in a strike, you take part in a public rally that became violent, you can be easily pulled out. You will be identified very easily. Getting the picture here? Moving on. Measurements and photographs for identification have three main purposes. So why photographs are used? First of all, to establish the identity of the culprit against the person being arrested, that whether the correct person is getting arrested or not. Identify suspected repetition of similar offenses by the same person. That is, we are basically talking about serial killers, rapists, stalkers, pedophiles. Even thieves, robbers, excuse me, chain snatchers, kidnappers. Clear? These are the categories of criminals of a repetitive nature. They are habitual offenders. So to identify them also, this particular law will help, and to establish a previous conviction. Previous conviction means the person would have committed a crime earlier, but there was no evidence other than a few DNA related evidence, etc. There was nothing else was there. Now they have managed to solve it. I'll give you an example for this. In our country, we are yet to have such processes, but then in California, back in the 70s and 80s, there used to be this serial rapist who used to attack lone houses, tie up the husband, and rape the wife in front of the husband. And he will go out in the night and he will go off. Cops tried, many people tried to catch him. There was no news of him. The 70s and 80s, this just went on. And suddenly it just stopped. There was an increase and then it stopped altogether. 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 11, 12, 14, and very, very recently, 3-4 years ago, I guess. 3-4 years ago, they managed to capture it. How did they do that? Now, the only thing that was available from the 70s and 80s was DNA evidence from semen traces. That was the only evidence that was available. Fast forward to 2010-12, what changed were they were able to find this perpetrator. They used DNA technology basically to find out, that is, DNA of the criminal is available, right? I don't know who is he. So what I as a police officer or as a law enforcement officer did was, I compared this DNA with available DNA in the database. So what has happened is, even if any family member with this DNA, if I have it in my database, from there I'll be able to pull this person's record out. And that is exactly what happened. Apparently, the perpetrator's nephew's DNA was available in the system. They used that. And from that, they got to know the family tree. From that family tree, they zeroed in on their suspect and they caught him. Now he's in jail. Old, very old he is, around 70 or 80 years old now. Now he is in jail for raping more than 20 or 25 women and even murdering 1 or 2. He's in jail now for life imprisonment. So this is the idea here. Previous conviction. In USA and Europe, it is known by the term of cold cases. Cases which have remained unsolved for years together. But thanks to the availability of the current technology, now the cold cases are brought back in and they are investigated. And then the perpetrators who are much into their 60s and 70s, they are caught up and they are arrested and they are thrown in jail. Similar incident had taken place in France. In fact, France had to bring in a DNA bill because of this one incident where multiple rapes were happening because of a serial rapist. And the only thing that the cops could do was collect the DNA evidence and maintain a database. So because the cops pressurized and the public pressure also started surmounting, the law authorities also, that is the legislature, also had no choice other than to bring the DNA bill. And finally, they were able to nab the culprit, identify who was the serial rapist, because DNA was allowed to be used for solving the crime. So that is the whole point here. The whole point here is that, especially with rape cases, etc., where it is always very harrowing for the victim to, basically say, this person raped me. The easiest thing to do is what? Collect the DNA evidence. Even if a shred of skin is available between the nails of the victim, of her perpetrator, they can easily identify the person. That is the whole purpose of the Criminal Identification Bill, collecting data associated with it with regard to all physical parameters. Clear? Who all have suggested this? In 1980, the 87th report of the Law Commission of India undertook a review of this legislation and recommended several amendments. State of UP versus Rambabu Mishra case, the Supreme Court had highlighted the need for amending this law. That is, it is not just enough that you take the photograph, the side profile. That is not enough. You have to update it along with the latest technology that is there. First set of recommendations laid out the need to amend the Act to expand the scope of measurements to include palm impressions, specimen of signature or writing, specimen of the voice. All three things are needed. Clear? The second set of recommendations raise the need of allowing measurements to be taken for proceedings other than those under Code of Criminal Procedure. That is to take those measurements also, even if it is not under any criminal procedure code also, if you so much as go to the police station for a petty crime, take all these measurements and keep. Getting the idea? Take all these measurements and keep, because we never know when this person is going to commit a crime again. The Law Commission report also notes that the need for an amendment is reflected by the numerous amendments made to the Act by several states. Now, why this particular criminal identification bill was amended? Why this Act was amended? The reason is because many states had amended it. Many states had amended it because the old law, that is before pre-independence. Now it is the 21st century, so you have to update it. And law and order is a state subject. So states can actually amend it. That is why now there has been an increased demand to amend the law, and finally they have amended and brought it out into the open. At the state level, each state is required to notify an appropriate agency to collect and preserve the database of measurements. So each state should say who will collect all the data, because each police station will be collecting the data and somebody should collect and collate all the data. Who will do that? State should notify. National level, you have the National Crime Records Bureau, which is a designated agency to manage, process, share, and disseminate the records collected at the state level. So basically, state to state, state police to state police interaction, state to state, agency to agency integration. Is very important. For what? For fighting crime. And that is the reason why this data is being collected. Now, what are the concerns associated here? Inclusion of derivative data such as analysis and behavioral attributes, which will lead to predictive policing. So what does that mean? Inclusion of derivative data such as analysis. That is, I will basically look into the overall pattern here. The person's measurements I would take, yes, I will have the previous convictions with me. Based on that, I will look into predictive behavior, whether this person is liable to commit this particular crime. Recording core measurements without conducting the required forensics. That is, now all these measurements you are doing, you are collecting all the data, you are keeping it, blindly believing the data without actually going for scientifically checking whether this person will commit this crime or not. Because there have been cases where wrongfully people have been arrested, especially in Western countries. It has been found out that because all that, see, now somebody wants to make me a criminal in a murder case. What should they do? The simplest thing to do is take a few hair sample of mine and drop it in that crime scene. It will be my responsibility to prove that I was never present there and I don't even know the person who is dead. So it will unnecessarily create enough amount of trouble. So forensic check should be there. Otherwise, the entire operation will remain cosmetic. You can have all the technology in the world, but if you don't apply a sound mind to it, it is of no use. Measurements to be taken if a person has been convicted or arrested for any offense, including petty offenses. That is the biggest problem here. That is, for each and every small thing, you will have to do what? You will have to give your measurements. So one set of people are claiming that this will actually affect their individuality, their privacy, all of that. But from a cop's point of view, if you also become an IPS officer tomorrow, just think about it. Would you want to literally go behind a thief playing thief and police? Or literally you want the system to throw the result at you that a person was arrested many years ago, his fingerprint and the fingerprint which you have got from the current scene, both are having a 98% match. Which is easier? The records will be stored for 75 years from the time of collection. 75 years means what? Till the point the person is literally alive. So somebody committed a crime, petty crime, serious crime, whatever, at the age of 25. 75 years the data will be stored means till that person reaches 100 years. Even if the person was only 18 years at the time of committing the crime, 18 plus 75 is 93. That is basically the adult lifespan of an average individual is compensated for. At any point of time, if they commit a crime, the cops can zero in on their suspect. Database under this law being combined with other databases such as those of crime and criminal tracking network and systems. This is something that has to be done for a country which is having 140 crore people population, more than 140 crore population, and where we are always having a refugee crisis. We need to have such a system. We need to integrate and collaborate and integrate all the data that we have within the state, between the states, and between the agencies. Clear? There is no doubt about it. Definition of facial recognition. Yeah. Okay. Slide. Okay. So this is what the concerns are. Now let us look into what will be your model answer here. So your model answer would involve, first of all, like I told you, the first thing to do will be address the question, which is what? Give a definition for what is facial recognition technology, which we have already discussed. Algorithm-based technology, identifying and mapping an individual's facial features, which is then used to match against the database. What are the recent concerns that you will explain, which is what? Permission was obtained by the Delhi police for identifying and tracing missing children from the Delhi High Court. Later on, Delhi police admitted to the inaccuracy of the FRT in court, which is less than 2%. But they continued to use FRT later for other cases, which is defined as function creep, widening the scope of the usage of FRT. FRT was later used in Delhi riots, 2021 Red Fort violence, and the 2022 Jahangirpuri riots. You will write all those concerns. First, what is FRT? What are the concerns involved here? Delhi police has revealed that matches above 80% similarity are treated as positive results, while the ones which are less than 80% would require corroborative evidence. However, gathering of corroborative evidence is seen as what? Mass surveillance, which goes against the Puttaswamy judgment with regard to right to privacy. So whenever this question of criminal identification, DNA technology, or criminal measurement, fingerprint measurement, any of those type of questions come from internal security, please see to it that you quote right to privacy. Clear? Then the second part, how will FRT help in enhancing the security considering in the context of criminal identification bill? So first of all, what is Criminal Procedure Identification Act of 2022? To take measurements of the convicts and other persons for the purpose of identification and investigation of criminal matters. FRT with Criminal Identification Bill will go a long way in nabbing criminals. Now let me tell you one thing here. You're going to be a civil servant. You are going to be an IAS or an IPS officer. So if you become an IPS officer or an IAS officer, it is very, very, very important that when you write your answers, you support the establishment and write it. Getting the idea? It is very easy to talk about right to privacy, individuality, PR, what is it, public interest litigation, all of that. It is very easy to say when we are not part of the system. Once we are part of the system, the workload is so much that we will not be having time to entertain our. So whenever you take a stance as far as internal security is concerned, see to it that you support the establishment and write your answer. This will dispense with the need to go to the courts every time. This can improve the conviction rate and can reduce the burden of under trial prisoners in the jail, because as much as you are telling that this will affect right to privacy, goes without saying, the system will be the system will be able to rule out suspects at the initial stage itself. Evading arrest or leaving the country will be a thing of the past. That is, see, case in point being, now if somebody commits a crime today, especially if somebody commits an economic offense, it is no more easy to leave the country. Why? because immediately a red alert will be issued. The moment your passport gets scanned in any one of the airports, you will be, held under arrest. Clear? So this can be made possible with facial recognition technology even better, because facial recognition technology will do the added thing what the surveillance cameras that are available, even those will help in tracking down the suspects. So that is the idea. So how FRT will help in these ways? It will help in the context of criminal identification bill. Finally, when you end the answer, what conclusion should you give? FRT is the future and it is here to stay. There is no doubt about it. With the increasing population that we are going to have, we cannot, and the understaffed police force that we have, we need technology as solution for improving the conviction, improving the law and order. Artificial intelligence will reduce the margin of error to a great extent. Digital technology is the need of the hour to increase conviction as well as reduce burden of jails as well as judiciary. Errors can be rectified by even employing blockchain technology. This much if you write, your answer is done. Clear, people? So, I'll just take up a few questions now. Derivative data. Derivative data simply means what you derive out of it. So derive out of it means, let us say a person is repeatedly seen as an offender, as somebody who stalks children. Okay, stalks children, always seen in and around children's area, school area, etc. And the person has been arrested. So from that behavior, I can come to the conclusion that this person is showing pedophilic behavior. Pedophile means one who likes to have sexual relationship with a child. So that is called derivative behavior. Person has not been arrested for sexually assaulting a child. But in 3 separate incidents, the person has been arrested for stalking children. So that data, based on that, I can come to a conclusion like this way. Okay, maybe this person is the perpetrator. Maybe this person has committed the crime. Sexual assault on a child. Okay, this person could be the suspect. That way. That is derivative data. Pooja, can conclusion be written in bullet points? Pooja, there is no hard and fast rule whether you need to put it in paragraph or bullet points. The fact of the matter is, say for example, now I am saying this is way forward. Correct? I am basically telling this is the future, blockchain technology. I'm giving solutions. So that is why I have kept it as pointers. If the question so demands, you can put it in some other way. We'll come across a few more questions. That time you will get to know how to frame your answer differently. Either go by the paragraph method or go by the point method. Ultimately, I will tell you the 2 things what you have to remember is your content should be strong. Number 1. Number 2, repetition shouldn't be there. It is not, see, basically you shouldn't write Ram was the husband of Sita. Sita is the wife of Ram. Ram's children's mother is Sita. Sita's children's father is Ram. That shouldn't be done. Getting the idea? Each point should have merit. You shouldn't repeat any point in the active, passive voice, direct, indirect speech. That's all that is there to it. How blockchain technology can rectify the error? Blockchain technology can rectify the error in the sense that, see, what is blockchain technology? It basically makes blocks, correct? Each block is a new data. So each block is a new data. That means when we have a suspect here. Suspect's photo is matching with, according to the system, it is telling the suspect's photo and the criminal's photo both are the same. So what do? Criminal, you are already having the DNA, correct? The criminal already in the database, you are having his DNA with you or his fingerprint with you. The particular criminal whom you are telling there, from his fingerprint is also there. What do? You club the 2 fingerprints and see whether that is a match. If that is also a match, what will happen? The first blockchain will be what? Photo evidence has been corroborated. Photo is a match. More than, let us say, 80% match is there. You then take the fingerprint and see whether fingerprint is matching. If fingerprint is not matching, he's not our suspect. They are two different people then. Getting the idea? So blockchain technology means what? You can use multiple data to find out the authenticity. Clear, people? Margin of error. Bhanu, what does margin of error mean? Margin of error means, see, when we say something is 97% accurate, 3% is the margin of error. So reducing the margin of error means from 3% you bring it down to 1% or less than 1%. That is what you mean by margin of error. Clear? Moving on. Cognitive dissonance. So cognitive dissonance is the second topic of the day, and the question is, define cognitive dissonance. Explain the corrupt behavior of civil servants using cognitive dissonance. First of all, I'll take you through the definition. I'll just read it out. Okay. It proposes that inconsistency between one's thoughts and behaviors would lead to an uncomfortable psychological or emotional tension among individuals or groups, which results in them either changing the inconsistent elements to reduce the dissonance or adding consonant elements to restore harmony. I know that would have gone above your head. I will explain it to you in very simple words now. So, how many of you woke up today thinking that I will cover this target, this is what I will do today, I will study for 6 hours straight, 3 hours straight, this is the timetable, this I will do today? How many of you thought about it? Number one. How many of you literally did it? How many of you have experienced in this last 1 week when you knew that when you were supposed to be studying, you still sat and binge watched a web series, or you watched a movie, or maybe you would have even stalked your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend in Facebook or Instagram just trying to know what they are doing currently, when you knew very well that ideally you have only one job, which is to study. You knew you have to study, but your behavior was not in consonance with your thought. Thought is something, behavior is something else. That creates tension. That creates tension. That creates tension. And you will always feel, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. You take that tension along with you. Because of this tension again, in this last 1 week, maybe you would have actually got, excuse me, you would have actually got angry, maybe at your family, maybe at your friends, maybe at even yourself, even feeling pathetic about yourself for not actually following through your plan, for the behavior that you did, the thought that you had and the behavior that you did, they were not at all in sync with each other. You were literally experiencing cognitive dissonance because your thought and your behavior were at loggerheads. It contradicts most behavioral theories that attribute positive changes to higher incentives. Most behavioral theories basically says that if I give you a higher incentive, you will be more positive. You will behave more positively. Cognitive dissonance says that that is not the case. Example. Again, I will give you an example. So let us say you studied today 18 hours. Tomorrow also you studied 18 hours. And tomorrow again, a few new movies are again releasing. Every week, something or the other is releasing, either in OTT platform or in, in the theaters. And you feel suddenly, okay, I want to watch that movie. But then mind is telling you, you have to sit and prepare. You have kept a target today. On Friday, this is your target. But then you start trying to justifying it. No, 36 hours I've been studying continuously now. Let me take a break. My break is justified. What is happening there? Positive behavior. Whatever change you made, was it according to your thought? Like, positive changes always will happen because of higher incentive. That is what all the behavioral psychology says. Like how you train a dog. You give a dog a bigger treat, the dog will behave better. You can train a dog like that by rewarding them for the right behavior. But here that doesn't happen. Here, even though people know what is the right thing to do, even though you offer them that stick, see, if you follow your timetable consistently and religiously, you will get IAS. You show it to them, still they will not take it up. Still they will feel that one movie, one web series, what will happen? Little time if I spend on Facebook, what will happen? Little time on Instagram, what will happen? 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, it will go like that. So that is the thing here. I'll make it more clear to you. According to Socrates, be as you wish to seem. That is what you wish to do it off. Because otherwise, it will create dissonance. That is what he is telling. But can this ideology be implemented practically by a civil servant who is bound by duty and law? You are going to be a civil servant tomorrow, right? You are going to be a civil servant where? Let me tell you. The former ATS chief, Mumbai 26/11 hero, Hemant Karkare, had sat down for dinner. When he sat down for dinner, he gets a call. Mumbai is under attack. So his family is there. His 2 daughters, his wife, they are all sitting there. He didn't show any change in facial expression. He just told, okay, I'm coming. And he just got up and he just went inside his room. He took out his service pistol, loaded it, checked everything. He loaded. He just walked out. Just told, I'll be back in half an hour. You people carry on. While going out, what he did, he locked the door from outside. And he just went. And that was the last time they ever saw him. Now, if you are the IPS officer sitting there for your having a family, going to have a family dinner, and you get to know that the district under your control is under attack, what will you do? Behavior-wise, attitude, thought process-wise, thought and behavior should be in consonance, should be in sync. That time you will not feel any disharmony. You will do what is right. But if you are having the thought, oh, I want to spend time with my family, but behavior is telling you, but training has taught you that you have to be at the scene, that will create dissonance. So be as you wish to seem, like what Socrates told, that is for normal, ordinary people. They can have their indulgences. They can have their weaknesses. They can go and, let go of their defense mechanisms, let go of their defense and fall prey to all the indulgences. You cannot do that. You don't have the luxury to afford it. Getting the idea? I'll take it a little more further. So how to prevent this cognitive dissonance? Either by changing your thought, changing one's behavior to match one's thoughts, add a thought to justify the behavior, or trivialize the inconsistency between the thought and the behavior. When you read it like this, it is all mumbo jumbo. But let us see. One could change one's thoughts. I was supposed to study polity today, but I didn't study. Because somewhere I thought, it's okay, we'll do it tomorrow. Change the thought. Today I don't want to do it. Tomorrow I will do it. Because tomorrow still time is there. Next prelims is in next year. Still plenty of time is there. So it's okay. So change the thought. Today it is not needed. Tomorrow I will do it. Change one's behavior to match the thought. Ideally, what you should have done. Okay, I am not at all in the mood to study, but it is fine. Distance between the hand and the book is directly proportional to laziness, is directly proportional to no mood. So what do? I reduce that distance. I pull out that polity textbook. I open it. I keep the tablet open, keep simultaneously listen to the lectures of the polity lecturer. This is what ideally should have been done, where the behavior is changed to suit the thoughts. Next, add a thought to justify the behavior, which is, oh, I have been studying since the last 2 months without break. Let me take a break today. Let me completely take a break. Let me sit and binge watch that web series, which my family members, my friends, my relatives have been talking about. or let me go and watch that movie. You are adding a thought to justify. Why? What is the justification? I've been studying since so many days. Nobody would have studied like me. So let me just go and watch that series. Clear? Trivialize the inconsistency between the thought and the behavior. Trivialize the inconsistency. You know it very well. The thought and the behavior are not there, are not in sync. It's okay. One movie, what will happen? One movie won't decide anything. Let me just watch it. So you're trivializing it. It's not a big deal. What will happen? I didn't study my timetable. I didn't take care of, I had neglected my timetable. That is what it means. So it is okay. These are the methods that generally people do whenever they experience cognitive dissonance. Getting the idea? So there are various ways to resolve cognitive dissonance. In most cases, people tend to justify their behavior by adding consonant elements or negating contradictory or inconsistent thoughts. That is what they do. Either they will try to bring consonants to it because it is a tension. You know what you're doing is wrong. So either you will have to change your behavior or you need to justify your behavior. So whichever way you do it, you're going to do what here? You're going to try to reduce the dissonance there. Clear? All right. So this is because generally it is easier to change one's thoughts than to introspect and question one's belief system. So either you change your thought or you change your behavior. Rather than sitting and pondering what should be done, why am I behaving like this? Why am I not doing things properly? Very few people do that. Most of the time, what do you do? Either the behavior or the thought. One of it will undergo change. Cognitive dissonance can lead to poor intrinsic motivation, substance abuse, poor mental and physical health, low commitment, poor family relation, poor work ethics. Intrinsic motivation will die away. Today you didn't study polity. Tomorrow you didn't study some other subject. Third day you again justified it because it was your uncle's, aunties, somebody's second marriages, third divorce, whatever. So one by one reason you are giving every day for not touching your books. Finally, what will happen? You will feel very poorly motivated to carry out with your preparation. Substance abuse, dissonance level is very high now. You are constantly regretting that you're not studying well. You're constantly regretting that you came into UPSC now. So what will happen? To forget the mental tension, you will start either smoking, alcohol, or maybe even worse, drugs. Poor mental and physical health. When you're constantly not happy internally, everything will go for a toss. Negativity will increase inside the head. You will start self-doubting yourself. And the day you start self-doubting yourself, that is the end. Be it for UPSC, be it for life itself. Because one thing which you should never do is self-doubt. Low level of commitment. You are not at all committed towards anything. You just feel like, shielding yourself and hiding in a cocoon, being in the corner of a room, don't want to face anybody. Family relations will suffer. Work ethics will suffer. These are the problems associated with what? Cognitive dissonance. Now, for the question that was asked, first of all, the definition you need to give. The inconsistency that is developed as a result of divergence between attitude and behavior, where either consonant elements are added to the attitude or to the behavior so as to reduce the dissonance. Cognitive dissonance causes discomfort internally, which can lead to erratic behavior and in extreme cases, substance abuse. Erratic behavior means what? No consistency. Today, 18 hours of studies. Tomorrow, 18 hours. Third day, 0 hours. So the point is, any activity you do, you need to balance things out. You need to keep consistency here. So even if you're doing only 6 hours of studies every day, do it 6 hours without fail every day. Keep targets which are achievable. That way, you can maintain a consistency. It can affect the individual's performance at a professional level and relationship at personal level. Right now, what is the professional level commitment that is demanded of you? You need to sit and prepare civil services diligently. No doubt about it. That if you are doing it properly, you will be doing good in other areas also. Have you ever noticed that? Now, I told you about the scenario where you don't stick to your timetable, you will feel mentally very bad about yourself and you start developing defense mechanisms for it. Either you'll get angry, you'll start feeling sad, your motivation levels goes down, etc., etc. But what about those days where you have stuck to your targets? You've maintained all your targets, you've covered all your targets, you did your answer writing, everything you did. Don't you? Haven't you noticed that when you go to sleep, you almost feel happy that you utilize the day to its fullest? You almost feel as if you conquered the day. That has a profound impact on the way you deal with people. Getting the picture here, people? So this is the idea here. Whenever your behavior and your thought process are in line together, you will be absolutely at peace, internal peace. Cognitive dissonance can lead to the development of defense mechanisms to cope with the situation. This would involve changing one's thoughts, changing the behavior to match one's thoughts, adding a thought to justify the behavior or trivialize the inconsistency between thoughts and behavior. Four things as usual. But our question is, how do you explain the civil servant's corrupt behavior here? A civil servant can become corrupt, first of all, under what and all circumstances? Number one, they entered the service to indulge in unethical behavior. Yeah, there are people. Well, let us all agree to this. I mean, there are at least a few people who want to enter the service because you can mint money. 4 5 years, if you do corruption, you can make money, enough money. So we want to enter the service. Minuscule minority is there. Pressure from spouse or family. That is a very big pressure actually, because the wife or the family, they will start pressurizing that why everybody is doing it, why can't you do it? Everybody is taking, why can't you take it? Look at our home, look at our fridge, look at our TV, so on and so forth. Pressure from seniors and colleagues. That is the other reason, which is basically in public administration terms, we call it bureaucratic socialization. You end up socializing with corrupt people. What will happen? You will also end up being corrupt one day. Last, unable to manage the expenses. That is, you are somebody who wants to deliver, give your family all the nice things, good education, everything. But with your government salary, it is not possible. So, you become corrupt. Clear? These are the major reasons. As a result of which your behavior changed again, behavior changed, and with that you try to change your thought also. It is okay, it is for my family. You used family as a reason to justify your corrupt behavior. Staying steadfast to individual ethics. Even in a situation where, let us say, surrounding you so many people are corrupt, yet you say that no, I will not. You can go ahead and transfer me all that you want. I am not going to change. Neither my attitude is going to change, nor my thought is going to change, nor my behavior is going to change. Behavior and thought are not at all in dissonance. You will have a peaceful sleep. But yes, you will have to face repercussions even from the other side also. When you're being very strong in your attitude, you will equally have to face pressure from all the corners. But what is the biggest takeaway? Emotional distress is not there. You will sleep peacefully in the night. Justifying the corrupt behavior by adding new thoughts to the situation to justify the corrupt behavior. You're adding new thoughts to the situation. What new thoughts you're adding to the situation? Expenses are increasing. Everybody is doing it. Everybody is doing it. Third point, you can even trivialize it. How do you trivialize? It is a small amount. I'm only asking for 200 rupees per signature. What is there in it? Project is worth 200 crore. I am only asking for 200 rupees. That way. So trivializing it also will lead to what? Will help you in reducing the dissonance. Connecting this again, you can even stretch it to what? Even cross connect it with the voice of your conscience. Corrupt behavior, unethical behavior, all these behaviors, what is the starting point of it? You are ignoring the voice of your conscience. You have stopped listening to the inner self. You are basically silenced the voice of conscience. Because when you listen to your voice of conscience, it is impossible that you will indulge in unethical behavior. Or when you listen to your voice of conscience, it is impossible that you will go and binge watch that web series or watch that movie at the cost of sacrificing your preparation. Getting the idea? So both are connected. So the only thing to check for henceforth is, are you feeling cognitive dissonance? Change your behavior. Listen to the voice of conscience and you will excel in life. Clear, people? Honesty is the first chapter in the book of wisdom. This should be the cardinal principle that leads every civil servant in the exercise of his or her duties. Let me tell you this. For ethics paper, I would recommend that you keep like this 20 quotes minimum. Minimum 20 to 30 quotes, small quotes. Keep it with you so that you can use it anywhere. Because see, ethics paper itself, if you see, there are a few topics which keeps on coming. Motivation, consistency, voice of conscience, all of that. Conflict of interest, all of this. So these quotes should be in such a way that you can use it anywhere and everywhere. Clear, people? So keep such 20 to 30 quotes with you so that you can use it in your ethics. And if you start using them really well, you can use them in your essay. You can even use it in the interview board. Clear, people? Dam management, the third question. What is upper rule level? How has it helped in managing floods in Kerala? Elucidate with example, 15 marks, 250 words. Let us see. Rule level. A dynamic flood cushion in the reservoir below the full reservoir level. Simply what it means is, say a dam is there. This is the full level beyond which the dam cannot store the water at all. Let us say this is the upper rule level. This is the level below which you will always maintain the water. Water is always maintained here, below the URL. Why? Excess rainfall, if it comes, okay, let us say suddenly it starts raining. Water level goes up. All right? 2 days continuous rain, water level went up. Third day, only very less rain is there. What do you do that time? That time, you open the shutter. Once you open the shutter, what happens? water starts flowing out, water level will fall down again. It will come down. This way what happens? Water will never reach the full capacity. It will never reach that full capacity. Always you will keep it within the limit. This is what they did. Let us see. As per the scheme, a reservoir is only allowed to reach its full capacity by the end of both the monsoon. Which are both the monsoons? Southwest, northeast. As the monsoon progresses, URL is increased in small steps. Very, very slowly only the upper level is increased. The reservoir is operated in such a fashion that water level will never cross the URL. Upper rule level, it will never cross it. During a heavy spell, if it crosses the URL, water level is brought down below the URL in a couple of days by discharging the excess water slowly. That is basically when rain is coming heavily, you start collecting it. But when the rains levels, when the downpour reduces, you release the water. Clear? This is the idea. When the river was in spate, heavy inflow of water was accommodated in the reservoir, in the dynamic flood cushion, and the excess water was released when the river was depleting. So dynamic flood cushion simply means this is nothing like a hard and fast rule is there. This level I will maintain the water. Below this I won't maintain the water. Nothing like that. It is dynamic. That is, it will keep changing. Depending upon how much is raining, depending upon how much water is there in the downstream, depending upon that, the cushion level. What is cushion? Basically, cushion means something soft, something to reduce the impact. So similarly, this cushion level is here what? The water level in the dam. So that water level will change depending upon the rainfall, the downstream water, and the available water in the reservoir. So basically it is simple. Imagine tank is there. It is about to become full. Rain has reduced. You open it. Let it go down. Downstream, less water now. Why? Rain has stopped. Suddenly it starts increasing. Rain started increasing. You close the dam now. Why? Rain is already there. Downstream also it is raining. You open the dam, more water will go. In the 2018 flood, what exactly happened in Kerala? Dams were already at its full capacity even before the rain had started. And when it started raining continuously, almost all the dams immediately started reaching its full capacity. So there was no other choice other than open the dam. So if you look into the river path, this is your downstream. This is your upstream. Upstream, you already have your dam here, which is at full capacity. All right. And on top of it, what is happening? It is raining. So already with the rain, water levels will be high. Full capacity, the dam is already there. Now what you have to do? If you allow the dam to remain like that, dam will burst because it is raining continuously. So what is the only choice available? Open the dam. Opening the dam brought in more water downstream. Water started spreading out. Within no time, the downstream areas, whatever homes were there, they were all submerged. In some cases, till the second floor of the house, water levels reached. How? Because of this. Getting the idea, people? In both 2018 and 2022, Kerala recorded copious amounts of rainfall on many days of August. So ideally, June and July are the months where Kerala gets its rain from monsoon. August is the time period where there is a break. Generally, there won't be any rain. Or few days rain will be there, few days it won't be there. But overall, history has told us that August month, rainfall is less. But of late, what has been happening is, in the month of August, more amount of rainfall is being received. There is a shift in the state's generally rainfall pattern, which is August in general receives lower rainfall than June and July as the long period average indicates. But in 2018 and 2022, August month received more amount of rainfall compared to June and July. Now, what is long period average? It is a rainfall recorded over a particular region for a given interval, month or season, averaged over a long period like 30 years, 50 years, etc. That is for a particular region during a particular month, how much rainfall it has received. So for Kerala, the state of Kerala, in the month of August, how much rainfall did it receive in the last 30 years? That is what you call long period average. Clear, people? In 2022, a higher share of rainfall in August fell in the catchment area of the reservoirs, a crucial factor in flood management. Catchment area, the area of land bounded by watersheds draining into a river basin or reservoir. So what is that? Let us see. This is what a catchment area looks like. That is, water is falling. All right. Rain and snow is there. River is there. Water is draining into these areas. Clear. All that water is there. And all these water together, they flow into what? They will flow into the reservoir. Reservoir is also getting rainfall. Water is also flowing into it through the small rivulets, channels, etc. That is your catchment area. The key difference between 2018 and 2022 is despite similar patterns of rainfall and comparable inflows, storage levels of most dams and reservoirs have stayed below the 90% mark in August this year. That is the core difference. Below the 90% mark, they have maintained the reservoirs this year. However, in 2018, storage levels of most dams abruptly reached 100% in mid-August, leading to a catastrophe. What was the catastrophe? They opened the reservoir, water flew down. Already there was rain there, downstream, combined with the water from the dams, led to flooding. If storage levels peak, the spills, what are spills? See, when I open the dam, when there is less water, that is okay. That is normal dam opening it is. When you actually say it is spill means what? Something is becoming full and now you're opening it to let out the excess water. Excess water deliberately released from reservoirs. That is what you call spill. That spill was more in 2018. Unlike planned discharges, spills are not meant for specific utilization such as irrigation. There is no such plan at all. Spill is simply, why is spill done? Why are water released from water reservoirs with unscientifically? To protect the dam. As storage levels of most of the dams remain below the 100% mark in 2022, spills were sporadic, unlike in 2018. That is, very few cases only they had to open the dam. Otherwise, it was not at all necessary. In 2018, 13 stations recorded record level floods. 13 stations, that is almost the entire state of Kerala, was submerged in water. In 2022, none of the 44 flood measuring stations have witnessed an extreme flood situation. That was the difference between the two. All because of what? Proper dam management. Clear? Now, what your model answer should look like, because question is something, explanation is different. So let us see. First of all, you will start with what do you mean by a full reservoir level? That definition you should give. Rule levels make a dynamic flood cushion in the reservoir below the full reservoir level. A reservoir is only allowed to reach its full capacity by the end of both monsoons. As the monsoon progresses, URL is increased in small steps. Reservoir is operated in such a fashion that water level will never cross the URL. During a heavy spell, if it crosses the URL, water level is brought down below the URL in a couple of days by discharging the excess water slowly. These are the expected points for your intro. During heavy flow, water is accommodated in the reservoir, and during lean times means when rainfall is less, much water from the catchment area, much water is not going into the reservoir. At that time, excess water is released. This is spill again. But this is better, much better than the spills what was happening in 2018. In both 2018 and 2022, Kerala recorded copious amounts of rainfall were on many days of August. The long period average exceeded the levels seen in June and July. You will have to give that explanation that too much of rainfall is coming in August these days, as a result of which our plans and our flood management, etc., needs revamping. In 2018, however, storage levels of most dams abruptly reached 100% in mid-August, leading to catastrophe. Water had to be released from these reservoirs. The spills from the reservoirs led to flooding downstream. Storage levels of most dams and reservoirs have stayed below 90% in August 2022. 2018, 13 stations record flood levels. 2022, 44 flood measuring stations did not witness any extreme flood situations. All this you suggested. Then you should also give way forward what should be done. Other methods to manage the flood situation level. Global models had suggested heavy rainfall events in mid-July and in the second half of July as well. Power generation was increased and water levels were kept in check in advance based on global models. Kerala did not rely on the data provided by IMD alone, because IMD had actually said that only June and July you can expect rain. Second half of July, there won't be any rain. Emergency action plans were created. Communication systems were improved. Staying in contact with the Central Water Commission constantly to know the river water level, because I told you, catchment area has river, downstream also there is river. So you need to know downstream what is the water level before you open the shutters of your dam. Clear, people? So that will be your final part of your answer. Coming to the next topic, which is zombie eyes. But before that, upper reservoir level. Can we use different color pen, black, to highlight important points or write headings? Kushi, please see to it that for that and all, you will not have time. 250 marks within 3 hours you're supposed to write. You don't have this luxury to keep one pen down and take another pen. Whichever pen you're using, within that same pen you underline. Getting the idea? Satellites always cannot predict monsoon accurately, Ritesh. Reservoir level. Cognitive dissonance in simple terms, Ritesh. Cognitive dissonance simply means what you're thinking and what your behavior is, both are opposite. That is what cognitive dissonance means. Your thought process is telling you to sit and study, but your behavior is you are sitting and watching a movie. How can we get rid of cognitive dissonance? Yes, this falls under ethics. Even ethics will be part of our discussion henceforth. How can we reduce? Say, cognitive dissonance, there is only one way to reduce it. That is being very consistent. You have to be very consistent and very clear about what you want in life. Generally, cognitive dissonance happens to people when they don't like what they are doing. So, very clear clarity should be there what you're doing in life. Say some things are there which we would love to do, right? Maybe say for example, I love to work out. So that I'm not ready to compromise on. I'll never find any excuse for it of not doing it. But if it is something else, maybe let us say cooking, I will definitely find an excuse for it. So generally, the things what we don't like is what we try to find a reason for. The things what we love to do, we will always end up doing it every day. Number one. Number two, Having a very high level of individual discipline is the key towards reducing cognitive dissonance. So even if you know, okay, I don't like this subject, let us say art and culture is a subject which most of the UPSC aspirants don't like. But you know, okay, I don't like this subject. That is a reality. I accept it. But I have to do it because I need to crack the service in my first attempt. That is the only way you can process it. Clear, people? So zombie eyes. Define zombie eyes. What impending disaster awaits the world because of it? Directly we'll go for the model answer because it's a very small topic. What is zombie eyes? Also referred to as dead or doomed eyes. Zombie eyes is one that is not accumulating fresh snow even while continuing to be part of the parent ice sheet. What does that mean? So there is an ice sheet. Okay. Generally during winter season, what should happen? Fresh snow should come and accumulate on this, which will increase its thickness. That doesn't happen. It is remaining there as ice sheet. But during summer, it melts further. It melts further. Melts, and eventually it is no more there. Such type of ice is committed. That is, commitment level is very high. Higher than maybe an average UPSC aspirant. That I am going to melt away no matter what. Don't try to stop me. I will melt. Melting away and increasing the sea levels. Research points to an equilibrium state where snowfall from the higher reaches of Greenland ice cap flows down to recharge edges of the glaciers and thicken them. That is, snowfall from higher reaches of Greenland that falls down thickens these glaciers. Over the last several decades, there has been more melting and less replenishment. So ideally, these ice in the past, snow would come, fall down, and it will thicken the edges. These edges used to get thickened. All right. But of late, what is happening is replenishment is very less. And on top of it, what is happening is melting process has increased faster. This may look like a painting, but this is actually a photo taken in a plane. And these are your ice. So looking at these glaciers, it may look as if they are only small crumbs of ice. No, they are actually huge, literally huge. And these are the type of ice that is not at all getting replenished. Melting is happening faster. So imagine a situation where they get completely melted. Sea level is going to rise up. And when sea level rises up, what is going to happen to Mumbai? What is going to happen to Chennai? What will happen to Mangalore? Getting the picture here. Cities on the coastal areas will get inundated. That is, flooding will occur there. Getting the idea, people? The melting of Greenland ice sheet will unavoidably raise the global sea levels by at least 10.6 inches or 27 centimeters. This is because of zombie ice, which is certain to melt away from the ice cap and blend into the ocean. Because zombie ice is committed to it, replenishment doesn't happen for zombie ice. Under the current situation, 3.3% of Greenland's total ice volume will melt, and this will happen even if the global temperature is stabilized at the current level. Which means what? Even if we stop the current increase in temperature, global temperature, because of climate change, even if we stop it also, these ice sheets will melt. Committed melting will occur within this century. That is the only relief here. We only know that it will happen in the century. Whether it will happen tomorrow, whether it will happen after 50 years, whether it will happen after 75 years, that nobody knows. According to the UN Atlas of the Ocean, 8 of the world's 10 largest cities are near a coast. Rising sea levels will make flooding, high tides, and storms more frequent and worsen their impact. This in turn means a threat to local economies and infrastructure. Low-lying coastal areas will take a harder hit. World Economic Forum's 2019 Global Risk Report noted that already an estimated 800 million people in more than 570 coastal cities are vulnerable to a sea level rise of 0.5 meters by 2050. Now, Let me tell you one thing. Questions like these, you will get in plenty. 10 markers, very simple, direct questions you will get in UPSC. The only mistake you can make there is write a very general answer. That is, coastal people will be affected. Flooding will be there. This will be there. That will be there. What you actually need in that type of answer is data. Because see, once you become an IAS officer also, if you become a chief secretary, if you become an IAS district collector, when your senior asks for a report, they don't want you to write this general stuff. Poverty is there, economic, that is a flood has occurred, a disaster has occurred in your district. Chief secretary is calling you directly. Forgetting the protocol, everything, chief secretary himself is in direct contact with you. And chief secretary is asking, give me the latest report. Many people have died. Many people are missing. Like that, if you send it to the chief secretary, what will the chief secretary feel? Instead, you write and say, this many people have been rescued, this many people have died, this particular area within my district has totally been cut off from all sorts of communication. I need air support, I need food, I need medical supply immediately. That is specific. Even that is what is expected out of you when you write very direct questions for UPSC. You have to validate it with data. Hardcore, literally by hearting UN Atlas of the Ocean, all that is not easy. But World Economic Forum, that is something which you keep hearing every now and then. World Economic Forum's data, UN related data, those things you need to keep it with you. Clear, people? And these are topics that keeps getting asked on a repeated basis. Topics on disaster management. So you can invest in it. The return on investment will be always high. Coming to the next topic, flash floods. Explain the causes and effects of flash floods in India. What are the available techniques for combating the hazard? Excessive or continuous rainfall over a period of days or during particular seasons can lead to stagnation of water and cause flooding. We know 24 hours or 36 hours continuously if it rains, flooding will occur. Classic example in recent times is the city of Bengaluru. Now, normally Bengaluru is a city which has the distinct advantage of being at a high level. All right, it is high above the sea level. I think 2,000 or 3,000 feet above the sea level. So when anything that is high above the sea level, what is the advantage? No matter how much it rains, water will drain out. That distinct advantage is there. But that distinct advantage also lost its merit when it rained continuously. Number one. Number two, because of the poor drainage system or encroachment that had happened, what happened? Water couldn't go anywhere. That water remained there as it is, creating wave-like situation within the city. Clear? So that is the idea. Flash floods refers to such a situation but occurring in a very less span of time. US's Meteorological Survey Agency, National Weather Service says flash floods are caused when rainfall creates flooding in less than 6 hours. Flash floods can also be caused by factors apart from rainfall, like when water goes beyond the levels of a dam, like what we witnessed in Kerala. Classic example. All right. In India, flash floods are often associated with cloud bursts, sudden intense rainfall that occurs over a very short period of time. Himalayan states further faces this challenge because of what? Glacial lakes. What is glacial lakes? Say supposedly this is a glacier. All right. Big, massive ice block. Melts. All right. And finally, what is remaining is just water. Large quantities of water. One fine day, what happens? This water spills down. And when it spills down, what happens? It just floods everywhere. Clear? Formed due to the melting of glaciers, and their numbers have been increasing in the last few years. Flash flooding commonly happens more where rivers are narrow and steep, so they flow more quickly. River valleys are narrow, steep. So the rush is huge, velocity is huge. They can occur in urban areas located near small rivers, since hard surfaces such as roads and concrete do not allow the water to absorb into the ground. Everywhere we can see road is there, footpath is there, everywhere cement is put up. What happens? Water gets never absorbed. Immediately it starts increasing in its levels within the city. Flash floods have been commonly witnessed in the cities like Chennai and Mumbai. Depression and cyclonic storms in the coastal areas of Odisha, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, and others also cause flash floods. Depression and cyclonic storms means what? You basically have a region of low pressure. When you have a region of low pressure, what happens? Air from other areas rushes to fill the space. And when the air rushes to fill the space, what happens? Because of Coriolis force, it creates a cyclone. And as the cyclone is formed, what happens? Where? From the sea, and brings rainfall to the coastal regions. So this type of low pressure depressions or cyclonic storms have been occurring on a frequent basis where in Bay of Bengal as well as in Arabian Sea, thus affecting the coastal regions. Clear, people? Data from the National Disaster Management Authority states that one of the reasons for flood situations occurring so frequently is that nearly 75% of the total rainfall is concentrated over a short monsoon season of 4 months, June to September. As a result, rivers witness a heavy discharge during these months. This is a very accurate data. Example again for this is your Assam floods, which have occurred very recently, devastating the entire state. About 40 million hectares of land in the country are liable to floods, according to the National Flood Commission, and an average of 18.6 million hectares of land are affected annually. Like I told you, these two things, they are your data. This year, there was a question on cloudbursts. So you can expect such direct questions, but when you write such direct questions, cause, effect, reasons, methods to rectify, everybody will write. It is the data when you put it over there that gives you that winning edge. Clear? You have to make your answer as unique as possible in the exam. Flash floods may in the future begin to take place after wildfires that have been taking place more frequently. So what they are saying is after wildfire, the chances of flash flood to occur will be high. Why? Because once wildfire occurs, it will destroy the forests and other vegetation. The land, as you see, will get hardened. And when land gets hardened, even if it rains, what happens is the water will just flow over it. It won't get absorbed. Clear? It won't get absorbed. Again, it will lead to what? Flash floods. Now, for the model answer, for the question, first of all, the definition. What do you mean by flash floods? Excessive or continuous rainfall over a period of days or during particular season over a short duration leading to stagnation of water are called flash floods. What are its causes? Intense rainfall over a short period, especially during, let us say, the monsoon season or even the northeast monsoon. The geography, Himalayan states. Recently, we know in Himachal Pradesh also, we had incidents of flash floods. Cloud bursts. Again, a phenomenon that has been increasing quite frequently now because of climate change. Cloudburst again means what? Simply means the clouds are unable to hold the water vapor anymore and they suddenly let go. Sudden downpour. Climate change. Climate change in the sense, now like I told you earlier, June and July were the months generally where monsoon was supposed to occur. But now that has changed. Now it is moving towards August. August is becoming now the new norm for monsoon season. Poor drainage. That is, once it rains, there should be a path for the water to flow. But what are we seeing these days? In especially say for example in a city like Bangalore, what has happened? Encroachment has happened in the drainage areas also, as a result of which water is not moving, which has led to flooding. Illegal construction and encroachment. So Bangalore, which was very renowned, again I'm giving you the example of Bangalore again because Bangalore was actually famous for its lakes. That is the reason why the weather is also very pleasant in Bangalore, or rather it used to be. But these lakes were later encroached upon. Not only in Bangalore, be it in Chennai, whichever area you see today, whichever cities which have constructed or made big real estate business, etc. There and all, if you see the regions where water gets accumulated, if you go back to its geography and history, you will find out that at one point of time, that region had lake under it. So because of that, region itself was initially a lake, or in olden times it was a lake. Today there is no lake. You have constructed tall buildings, etc. Water will always move towards the area where lake is there, because these lakes were constructed in such a way that no matter whatever happens, the water will reach the lake. So ignoring it, you have constructed your real estate, you have constructed your IT parks, you have constructed your flats or villas, all at what cost? Destroying the city. Because why? Moment it rains, it leads to flood. Narrow and steep river valleys, depression and cyclonic storms in both Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. Normally, at least a couple of years back, in Arabian Sea, you never used to have low depression and all. It was very, very rarely used to get it. And even if it happens also, it will never lead to a cyclone. But of late, what has been happening is in Arabian Sea also, you're having more and more number of cyclones or storms forming because of climate change. According to the government data from a project by Assam State Disaster Management Authority, India is the worst flood-affected country in the world after Bangladesh and accounts for 1/5 of the global death count due to floods. So, loss of life, economic loss, damage to infrastructure, loss of vegetation, poverty, burden on health sector, increase in school dropouts. Why school dropouts? Because what will you do? Will you go to the school, or will you help your parents to, throw the water out of your home? And eventually, who will be the first one to suffer there? Girl child. The first person who will be cut off from going to school will be the girl child. Whenever floods occur, whenever basically anywhere where disaster occurs. Clear? Comprehensive strategy is required for monitoring the ground in hilly areas, planning development works in a way that is sensitive to the region's ecology, that is respecting the lakes, the swamps. Mitigation to reduce the extent of damages like the flood risk mitigation scheme of the National Disaster Management Authority, where the scheme covers activities like pilot projects for development of model multi-purpose flood shelters, development of river basin specific flood early warning system, digital elevation maps for preparation of inundation models for giving early warning to the villages for evacuation in case of flood. Under the scheme, financial support is to be provided to the flood-prone states for undertaking pilot scheme in respect of about two activities. About two activities as in these two. Again, suggested measures these are. 111 liners is more than enough. You need not go into its nitty-gritty details, how they will provide the early warning system, how they will do this, that is not relevant. You just need to give the way forward, the suggested measures. National guidelines on management of glacial lake outbursts, preparation of flood hazard atlas of flood-prone states, scheme for training of community volunteers in disaster response in selected 30 most flood-prone districts of 25 states in India through the Aapda Mitra scheme, audio, visual and print campaigns. Way forward, you can give these points. Clear, people? NAFIS. Again, straight away going for the question here. What is NAFIS? How can it be a game changer in fighting crime? The NAFIS is basically associated with fingerprint. That is National Automated Fingerprint Identification System, a countrywide searchable database of crime and criminal related fingerprint, which is conceptualized and managed by the National Crime Records Bureau at the Central Fingerprint Bureau in New Delhi. It is a web-based application which will be a central information repository. That is, all the fingerprints collected by the state police, district police, everything, all the data will be collected and it will be kept with NCRB. According to a 2020 report by the NCRB, it enables law enforcement agencies to upload, trace, retrieve data from the database in real time on a 24/7 basis. Getting the idea? That is, excuse me, you could be sitting in, maybe let us say, Jammu and Kashmir. You want to find the fingerprint, the owner of a particular fingerprint. You can straight away access this web-based application and access the data. This is what your fingerprint looks like. And again, there is a pattern to this. There is this Tamil movie called Kaidi. If you get time, do watch it, because some movies are there which will actually help or aid you in your preparation also. So those some movies are there which will give you good information. So that movie basically tells how of using the fingerprint they were able to nab a criminal. All right. So it is again based on a real story. So that you can watch if you want to. So fingerprint, again, like I told you, it is very unique. Each individual's fingerprint has a unique character to it. So no two individuals will have the same fingerprint. That is a very rare scenario. Clear? NAFIS assigns a unique 10-digit national fingerprint number to each person arrested for a crime. The unique ID will be used for the person's lifetime, and different crimes registered under different FIRs will be linked to the same fingerprint. 2020 report states that the ID's first 2 digits will be that of the state code in which the person arrested for a crime is registered, followed by a sequence number. So the first time where you got arrested, that will be the first 2 numbers. The remaining will be a sequential number. That's it. Clear? By automating the collection, storage, and matching of fingerprints along with digitizing the records of fingerprint data, NAFIS will provide much needed unique identifier for every arrested person in the CCTNS. So, what and all is happening now? Criminal Identification Amendment Bill plus facial recognition technology plus NAFIS. All the 3 will help in crime fighting, improving conviction rate, reducing judicial burden, as both are connected at the back end. Former NCRB Director Ramphal Pawar had said in December 2020. Upon the recommendations of the National Police Commission in 1986, the Central Fingerprint Bureau first began to automate the fingerprint database by digitizing the existing manual records through India's first automated fingerprint identification system in 1992 called Fingerprint Analysis and Criminal Tracing System, FACTS 1.0. The latest iteration, FACTS 5.0, which was upgraded in 2007, was considered to have outlived its shelf life, according to a 2018 report by NCRB, and had to be replaced by NAFIS. So, automation they started when? In 1992, which was FACT 1.0, Fingerprint Analysis and Criminal Tracing 1.0, the first version. The 5th version became redundant or useless in 2007, and this has been updated now. So, FACT 1.0 in 1992, FACT 5.0 in 2007, which has now been replaced by NAFIS. Clear, people? Now, we come to the last topic of the day, which is again an ethics question. Straight away, we are going for the model answer. What does this quote mean to you? To find yourself, think for yourself. Socrates, 10 marks, 150 words. So, to find yourself, you have to think for yourself. What do you mean by to find yourself? Finding yourself simply means to know about you. Correct? Like I told you, it is very important to understand what is the person inside first. We can say, okay, that person is bad, this person is good, that person is great, that person is talented. All that is great. What about you? What do you know about you yourself? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What is your biggest asset? What is your biggest quality? What is your biggest problem? And what is your biggest drawback? Only when you know all of this, you will be able to find yourself. Finding yourself means what? Finding yourself means what job I should do, what sort of person I should have as my friend, what sort of people I should have around me, what sort of spouse I should choose in my life, all of that. Because only then there will be peace and harmony. Otherwise, what happens is constantly you will be trying to be somebody else. Somebody else means either because you like that person, you want to get their approval, or you want to be like someone because you feel they are more talented than you, so you are trying to compete with that person, so on and so forth. Even an opinion that you develop, it is again because of the influence of other people. It is not your own opinion. It is somebody else's opinion which has been put on you. So you need to clear all this clutter in your life, because always you have been listening to other people's opinion, what other people want, what other people are telling you to do. That is a different thing. What do you want? Is this what you really want? Anything, let it be. From choosing a simple mug or taking a complex life decision like whom you want to live your life with. All this ultimately should come down to, is this what you really, really want? And to know that, to answer that means you need to know you first. Without knowing about you, no matter whatever be your knowledge level, whatever be your talent level, it will all be useless, because you will never know your own full potential. Clear? So that is the crux of this. Now, how to write an answer to this? Because talking about it philosophically is very easy. We can go hours together over a cup of tea, we can have it. But answering it, to find yourself means, first of all, to know yourself. Let's agree on that. We have to know about ourselves. Only when you know yourself, you can think for yourself free from biases. Free from biases means everything. From choosing a dress, choosing your spouse, choosing your career, choosing your friends. All this is not because somebody else told you, okay, choose that job, do this, do that. No, you chose it because you wanted it. Countless men and women have spent their entire life in search of this elixir called knowledge. So everybody is studying, everybody is taking PhD, MBA, doctor, so many things they are becoming. But very few doctors we hear about becoming very famous. Very few musicians we hear about becoming very famous. Very few cricketers we hear about becoming very famous. Why? Why only a selected few comes up and makes a mark? Because they really wanted only to do that in their life. If Sachin Tendulkar's parents would have told him, go and read A square plus B square plus 2AB, trust me, he would have never become a good cricketer nor a good mathematician. Instead, Sachin Tendulkar's parents knew it very well. Okay, he is loving to play cricket. If that is the case, let him go and stay with his aunt. If my memory serves me correct, he stayed with his aunt, so that the distance from the home to the place of practice can be reduced. For that purpose, to encourage him, okay, if that is the one thing that he wants to do, let him do it. Kamal Hassan, when he dropped out from school, his mother's relatives came and started scolding her. Why he dropped out, blah, 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 etc. They were scolding her. She just looked at Kamal Hassan, and Kamal Hassan was busy learning music, practicing music at that point of time. So she just looked at him, and then she looked at her relative and she told, it is okay. He's studying something. It is not necessary that he should go to school and learn. And where is he today? Point is, you have to study. Just because I quoted two people, two stalwarts who have managed to make their mark in their respective fields, doesn't mean that studying is a waste. No. The point here is, you should know what is your true calling. whatever be it, profession wise, anything wise. So this knowledge, what you search for, trying to be learn everything, it is not outside, it is inside. Whatever you search for, the search starts and ends at only one place, which is inside, which is evasion of knowledge occurs not because it is vast. You try to search for things that is outside, you try to strive perfection, etc. It is not because it is exhaustive. Knowledge is exhaustive, but the source of knowledge doesn't lie outside, it lies within. Means what? If I am pursuing something which I don't like, I can keep on studying about it. I can do MBA, I can do PhD, I can do double doctorate in it. Will I ever succeed in that field? Excel in that field? Chances are less. Instead, if I try to do something which I love, and I continue, and I realize that this is what I love to do, this is what I want to do in life, what will happen there is, every pursuit of knowledge will happen not because I want to do it, but I love to do it. Whatever I pursue it subconscious level. That is, I'm not doing it consciously. I can spend hours together. Have you ever noticed that when you're studying your favorite subject, you can study it for hours together? 7 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. Like, give me internal security. I can sit with the books from morning till evening because I love it. But can we say that for every other subject? No. So when you do something out of love, because you know this is what you're interested in, everything becomes effortless. Because you love it, it becomes effortless. Because you love to do shopping, it is effortless. Because you love your lover, that also becomes effortless. You love your family, that becomes effortless. And wherever you have to put in an effort, that is simply because somewhere it is not what you want to do. That is the idea. People often tend to ignore the importance of inner knowledge, which is a realization of your true strength, talent, abilities, and weakness. And any answer when you write in ethics, it is important either to give quotes or to give examples. Classically, Sachin Tendulkar and A.R. Rahman. You can use any example here. So Sachin Tendulkar and A.R. Rahman are the. Tell me who is the genius here? Who is the genius? Both is the answer. Sachin Tendulkar is known for his motor skills. A.R. Rahman is a musical wizard. Can you compare them? Absolutely not. Both are legends in their own game. So that is where it is important to be aware of one's own strength and weakness and not to be biased in one's thoughts or compare oneself to others. There is no point in comparing my talent with another person's talent, because as long as you keep doing that, never you're going to succeed. If you're sitting here thinking that, oh, that person is studying for 10 hours, tomorrow onwards, I will study for 12 hours, that will not work out. 10 hours that person is doing, let him or her do. Are you doing quality study for yourself? Are you utilizing your time properly? That is what is important. Are you doing qualitative preparation rather than counting minutes and hours and sitting and wasting your time? Are you doing quality preparation? The ideas or opinions that an individual have are more often than not a product of the family and the society which he or she is born into. This is why even after people die, prejudices and stereotypes continue to linger. That is, whatever we have been taught, it is all a result of what our family has taught us or the society that has taught us. That is the reason why even today people think taking dowry is okay. There are prejudices that are still practiced by people of the upper caste against the lower caste. We know the incident where in Rajasthan, a teacher beat a child to death because it went and drank water, apparently from a source which is used by the upper caste. This awareness will help the individual to realize their true potential and work towards those areas that are their strengths. So the awareness, what awareness this is? The awareness that you have been taught certain things which are actually not in sync with your ideals. You have been taught things by an earlier society which was bigoted, which was prejudiced. So when you realize that, you should try to unlearn them. And when you unlearn them only, what will happen? You will be able to progress in life. It also helps the individual to view things objectively and not to be influenced by the emotions of others. So 20 years ago, maybe we wouldn't be so forthcoming in accepting a gay relationship. But today we accept it. You know people who are in a gay relationship. I know people who are in a gay relationship. We don't lose our hair on it. We are like, oh, okay, their choice, their life. We at least learn to respect it. But can we say the same thing for our parents? Absolutely not. Or a generation similar to our parents? Absolutely not. Clear? So that is the improvement that is happening because we are viewing it from our lens, not through the emotional lens of the society or the family to which we are born into. To accept the demand of dowry is illegal in our country. Most of the young men, however, accept or demand it because family says so or society has said it is completely normal. The opinions of parents, teachers, friends, society, etc. has increased the noise surrounding an individual to such an extent that the inner voice is silenced. You always end up listening to your parents. You always, not that it is a bad idea, mind you. Point here is what they say, what you hear, what the society says, what your friend says. Is it what you also want? Is it exactly what you also want to do? That is the million-dollar question here. The interesting thing is, noise can have both positive and negative influence. This noise, this external noise coming from family, friends, relatives. Why? Mata, Pita, Guru, Devam. Mother will show who is the father. Father will show who is the Guru. Guru will show who is God. Basically, they all will lead you to the path of light. So, light which is knowledge. This is essential for laying the foundation of one's belief system, morals, and knowledge. Once this is obtained, it is up to the individual. They will give you the initial lessons. The foundation will be built. But as you grow up, as you learn things, as you view things with your own eyes, you view things objectively, that is where you should see whether now the structure or the foundation what your parents gave you, should you build on it or should you break the construction wherever it is required, the foundation, wherever it is required, you need to break it and rebuild things. To take the initiative in changing that part of the structure or the foundation if it is found to be odds with ethical behavior. So parents are telling it is okay. They are giving it as gift. They will give you a Benz S-Class because you're an IAS officer. It is okay. You can take. They are giving it, right? We are not asking. But you have decided, no way, I am not taking it. I don't want it also. I only want a partner, that to a life partner. More than that, I don't want anything else. That is your ethics, not your parents' ethics, not the society's ethics, not your friends' ethics. This self-awareness is crucial to develop a strong personality that is not biased or prejudiced. Thus, an individual who is free from subjective influences tend to take informed, objective decisions based on facts and logic. A society made up of such individuals will be harmonious and free of prejudices. No prejudice at all. That is, okay, I am the groom, so I require everything that is best. Bring it on. I will make my in-laws, come below the poverty line and I'll see to it that they apply for the Antyodaya scheme. That is not the deal here. The deal here is you're very clear that marriage is a equal responsibility of both the man and the woman and so on. Therefore, whatever decisions you take, it will be based on equality. Marriage expenses will be shared 50-50. Just giving an example here. Clear, people? So this way, you are clear in your thoughts. And all that happens by because you know yourself. Clear, people? All right. Sir, is it fine to be involved in thinking and trying to clear UPSC every second in a day? Please reply. Adarsh, having a positive thought every day, staying motivated is very, very important. Having said that, thinking only about clearing, thought without action is futile. So think about it, maybe spend around half an hour thinking about cracking it, because that is just meditation. Closing your eyes and thinking only positive thoughts. That is a good thing. But afterwards, what is required to achieve it, which is sticking to a timetable and a routine, please do that. Mata Pita Guru Devam, path leads towards light. Here, light means knowledge. That is what light means. To come out of darkness, whatever lack of clarity is there in your mind, that clarity you achieve. Varun, elixir. Elixir means something that is uh, very valuable. You know, it is almost like, let me put it in another way, Amrit, something like that. Something that is very valuable, good for life, that way. Rifat, how to stay motivated every day? Little bit of meditation, little bit of exercise, constantly sticking to a tablet. I mean, you're to a timetable. Those are the only ways you can do it off. All right, people. So with that, we come to an end of the session actually. So one second, I'll just take up a few questions. Facial features of twins are same or not? No, it is not. What about identical twins face? No. By growing the length will be some sort of change the length of the face. Or how would they? No, see the length of the face again, like I told you, those are the exceptions in the system. Generally, these things will not change. Eye to eye, face may become round, face may become chubby, but eye to nose, that distance is not going to change. Yeah, DNA means, see, DNA, that is what it is. Nail, hair, saliva, blood, urine, what is it? Semen. All those are part of your DNA. From all this, you can get the DNA sample out. Punishing people at the age of 70, is it really worth it? If you ask me, that is a very valid question. But the fact of the matter is, just because they are old now, doesn't mean you shouldn't punish them. Now you know this person has committed the crime. This person has committed a lot of crime in the past, but he's 80 years old. So should we release them? That is not a ground actually. Just because you're old doesn't mean that you can get away for your crime. Police doesn't need court permission anymore. Why? Because that criminal identification bill has come forward. So henceforth, FRT can be used. The issue with Delhi police was that Delhi police, even before the criminal identification bill came into effect, they started using FRT. They took it as permission for what? Tracking children. But later on, they started using it for other crimes also, solving other crimes. Cognitive dissonance is what I'm facing nowadays because my college has started and my exam is also this year itself. How to overcome it, refer it to faculty. See, cognitive dissonance, I agree. Considering your busy schedule now, it is going to be difficult. So what I would suggest to you is right now, what is important? Your college. Focus on that. Score very good marks for it. Reduce the time for UPSC. Just reduce it. Don't eliminate it because this is also your dream. So reduce the time, but chunk of your time, give it for your college. Clear? What is the difference between adding a justification and trivializing? There is not much difference because one or the other way, you are trying to give a reason for your erratic behavior. You're trying to give a reason. So either way, it is what? Either you tell, okay, oh, enough, today is so much I have studied, let me watch a movie. That is, you're trivializing it or you're justifying it. Or one movie only, what will happen? Trivializing. So both are more or less the same thing only. How to solve problem of cognitive dissonance? How can we overcome cognitive dissonance in our daily life, sir? Like I told you, it is all about starts with individual self-discipline. So start with something small first. What is that one thing which you can do every day for the rest of your life? Waking up in the morning, try doing it whatever time it is you're waking up. Try doing it regularly. One day 9 o'clock, one day 7:30, one day 4 a.m. That is not the case. One time if you fix, keep doing it for 21 days. So once you know that you're capable of doing or developing a habit for 21 days, then you will get that confidence. Now I can do anything that I want. So start with something small first. What are consonant elements? How adding consonant elements help restore harmony? Consonant elements are, say for example, now I want to watch a movie, but I know I have to sit and prepare. So there is a dissonance. So dissonance is there. Now consonant elements I'm adding. This consonant elements will either change my attitude or it will change my behavior. The consonant element is what? Number one, changing the attitude. Okay, that is the behavior. Changing the behavior. So consonant element is, okay, watching a movie means 3 hours will go. I have not completed the target. So let me change it. Let me finish the target first. That is the consonant element that I added to change my behavior to not watch the movie. Consonant element added to change the thought process, which is, I have not completed the target. I badly want to watch this movie. It is okay. I will do the target tomorrow. That is the other consonant element that I added to change my thought process because I have decided movie is important. So I changed my thought process there. Added the element to there so that thought, behavior are in consonance. Cognitive dissonance can lead development of defense mechanism. So defense mechanism. What is a defense mechanism here? Defense mechanism is basically say, you didn't study well, you misused your day totally, mother called or somebody else called, friend, somebody called, you took out your frustration on them. You took out your frustration on them. That is defense mechanism because you know somewhere you didn't meet your targets, you didn't study well, you didn't utilize your day properly. That creates dissonance. Or you create dissonance is there. You start taking alcohol, you start using cigarette to forget the tension. Why open full shutter rather less than half? It is not about whether you open the dam fully or close. The point here is when the dam water has already reached full level, now you have to bring it down. So first what they will do is there are not just one shutter, 3 to 4 shutters will be there depending upon the size of the reservoir. They'll open it 25%, 50%, then full, one. Then they will see whether the water level is coming or not. Water level is reducing, then okay, they will leave it at that. If it is not going, then they will open the second one. That is how it is done. Clear? All right, people. So with that, we come to an end of the session. So the annotated PPTs will be shared with you. Handouts are not being given. Only reason that it will be too much of material for you. Whatever important current affair topics are there, we are already covering it in the magazine. So just stick to it. This is basically for mains preparation. You need to have an idea how to write the answer. So for the last month, these were some of the important topics from economics, internal security, disaster management and ethics, and that we have covered here. Clear? All right, people. Thank you all. Take care. Good night. And no more cognitive dissonance. Take care.